I'm absolutely done in. I've finished the cleaning and the last load is in the dryer, whizzing round as we speak. And Monty playing in the garden and being as cute as a button. Yes. What? He's scratching them claws? Hmm? He's scratching those claws, young man? Go on then. Hmm? Where are you going? Oh, he's off. He's off, bless him. Wow. That's his little cat tower. That's his surfboard and all his toys and his little bed. I would say he's one spoilt cat. He's adored by all. So, just had a news update. Oh my goodness me, I think I'm going to be getting these all night. Trump and Putin have finally got together and they are about to have the meeting of meetings. Oh my goodness me. I just can't. 7 hours of a meeting. Talking. I wonder what they're going to talk about. Maybe everything and anything and perhaps nothing at all. I have literally no idea. All I can do is think that I hope sensible heads prevail. I hope that they don't do anything rash. You know, there's just 8 billion people on the planet and we all quite like being here and having a chance of life, regardless of what we're doing with our lives. We all like the idea of staying alive, and quite worrying really that these two superpowers are... I never thought I'd live through another Cold War. You know, it's bad enough in the 80s. I mean, you've seen the films The Day After and Threads, and recently Threads and The War Game were on BBC 4 on the 30th of July. So it wasn't that long ago that they were on. And goodness me, I didn't think that we'd be going through this again, and here we are, Friday night. Just I don't know. I just worry that an argument's going to come, on one that neither side's going to back down. Because you can't win a nuclear war. I go, yeah, you know, as a parent, it's different than when we saw it as children back in the 80s. And we did all the nuclear war drills at our school. And, you know, it was a very real thing. We had Protect and Survive, that we had a copy of it. Everybody I knew had a copy of Protect and Survive. How on earth I thought we were going to do that by painting our windows white and building a refuge, and we had all that to do in about 4 minutes, which was quite interesting, really. Quite the experience. I don't know how old you are, Igo. Are you as old as me? Are you in your 50s? Did you grow up in the 1980s in the Cold War? Is this Cold War 2.0 for you? Not seeing it through the eyes of a child anymore. We're seeing it through the eyes of being adults. And I just hope that they're sensible. I hope that they do not argue. And I hope that they can meet somewhere in the middle without anyone having to fall out. Don't know. It's going to be for an interesting evening, isn't it? It'll be a very interesting evening. Gosh, what I would love to be a fly on the wall and be able to listen in on the negotiations. I really would. Because like everyone else on the planet, I've got a vested interest in staying alive. I don't really fancy tonight being the last night on planet Earth. Said anyone ever. Might have to have a massive glass of wine. I don't know. It's just a funny old world, isn't it? Takes a lot to make it go around. And you got people like that are negotiating peace for everybody else that's on the planet. So, just out of interest, what were your plans this evening? Assuming that you actually get to do them. Are you going to be like me? You're going to have a glass of wine, going to have a nice dinner and chill out with some music. Probably fold some laundry later on. Living it wild. The most exciting thing I've had today is Nutella on toast and a cup of tea. But I did have a cup of coffee this morning, so that was quite nice. And I've cleaned the house today. And all while I'm cleaning, all I'm thinking is, I hope when they go and have their meeting, I hope when they sit down and they have their meeting today, that they're sensible about it and they don't do anything to wind up their I want it to be a productive meeting. I want them to be able to sit down and converse like grown-up men, probably asking a lot. Especially Trump is given to being quite petulant, and he has more mood swings than I do, and I'm going through menopause. So that says something. And Putin, well, he's a classic Russian, and he plays his cards very close to his chest. He doesn't really much of a negotiator. He just goes in and takes what he wants, and that's the problem. You're dealing with two people, they're very similar personalities, and it can either be poetry in motion, or it can be like Clash of the Titans, and these two will be like stags, and they're going to be banging heads. Which way around it's going to go, I don't know. But I am hoping that we don't have the sunrise at 2 a.m. in the morning, because if that is the case and something went hideously wrong, and we're all going to feel the heat. Exactly. I feel like that dog in that meme, you know, that sat there in the restaurant and everything's on fire, and he sat there in the chair and he's going, absolutely everything is fine. Everything's fine. It's perfect. And you just feel as though you're acting out the last sort of scenes of Julius Caesar that, obviously Shakespeare wrote. And you turn around and it's like, et tu, Brute, you as well, Brutus. you know oh it's a very, very pivotal point. I don't think we've been as close to nuclear war since Kennedy and Khrushchev. I think I've said his name right. In the 1960s, early 1960s, obviously in the 50s. Blimey. Somebody will have to educate me on that one. Was it 58, 59, the Cuban Missile Crisis? Where we were a hair's breadth away from pressing buttons. Anyway, if you feel like you need to read a book tonight, may I recommend Pat Frank, Alas Babylon? It is probably one of the best and most famous nuclear war books that's ever been written. Famously, John Lennon read it in one night. He couldn't put the book down, and I can see why, because it is fabulously written. The words come off the page like poetry. It's like drinking a fine wine and having decadent chocolate reading that book. It has aged well, and the problems we were facing back then we're facing now. The people who lived in the Florida peninsula of Fort Repose are literally the only people left really in America after America and Russia go toe to toe with a nuclear war. And it's how these people coped before, during, and after everything happens. And it's a character study like no other. It's beautifully written. And as I was saying, John Lennon read it in one sitting as soon as it came out, and he turned round and his first words were, if everybody who was a political leader throughout the world sat down and read this book, then there would be no more need for nuclear weapons. And that perfectly sets you up to be able to read and understand the novel. It's brutal, heartbreaking. And if you're not crying by the end of the book, then what's wrong with you? Are you human? Do give it a read. I think I may still have it up on my playlist as an audio book in case you didn't want to pick up a physical copy. But it's one of those books that you need to read before you die. It's in my top 100 books that you need to read before you die. And considering the two superpowers are sat in Alaska right now discussing war, what is it good for? Perhaps now may be a good time to go and pick the book up and sit down and give it a peruse. You may need a stiff drink, and don't forget the chocolate. I just stick with me. I know that there's a shortcut to hell and all the good stuff that goes with it. I like classic literature. I like fine wine. I enjoy good chocolate. And I think tonight is the night where all three need to come together to give you one epic evening. And maybe not worry so much about Trump and Putin, because they're going to do what they're going to do, regardless of us. But Pat Frank had got it just right. And God bless you, Pat, for writing that book. Millions of school children across America that have studied it for English literature will probably say to me, "Oh, Fairy, we had to study that when we were at school." Well, I had to do Brother in the Land. I also had to do the other one, Children of the Dust by Louise Lawrence, and Brother in the Land was Robert Swindell, and which I've done a book review on both of those as well. All about nuclear war. The Brother in the Land and Children of the Dust are aimed young adult fiction. It's definitely a teenager style book. And whereas Pat Frank's is aimed more at adults, but amazingly it's taught to children in English literature. The other book that we were taught at school as well was oh gosh, Lord of the Flies, and we had to do Mice and Men here in the United Kingdom. We did Lord of the Flies, and that's a book that'll mess with your head. I've also done a book review on that as well. My favourite character in that entire novel, I will probably, everyone says, "Oh, it's Simon, it's Ralph." It isn't. It's Piggy. I love the character of Piggy. And what that little lad was a true hero was Piggy. I won't spoil it for you, but if you know, you know. Right? You know, if you're not crying at the end of that book, there must be something. Are you human? Exactly. Books are there to be read, to be enjoyed, to be talked about, and to teach us something. Neville Shute on the beach. Australia, they know they're going to die. All these Australians know they're going to die as the radiation cloud creeps ever closer. It's how you deal with your death. That's quite a hard one, is on the beach. And if you're not crying at the end of that one, there's something wrong with you. If you like your nuclear war to be more fanciful, David Graham, Down to a Sunless Sea, where we land in the Azores, a British Airways aeroplane and a Russian Antonov land in the Azores, and between the Russian pilots and the English pilot Jonah Scott, they pick the ones that are likely to survive, and they make the epic flight all the way to the South Pole. I believe it's the South Pole. And that's after a nuclear war disaster, but that's more, I would say, Down to a Sunless Sea is almost like a fantasy novel of nuclear war. I mean, it's brilliantly structured and it's very feasible the way the war broke out. But Prince Charles marrying a glamour model in New York. Gosh, I never knew Camilla had it in her. Oh, dear me. Yeah. I enjoy fiction very much. Have you ever read David Brenn's The Postman? Wow, that is an epic odyssey of America coming to terms with how it copes after a nuclear war breaks out, and the US Postal Service starting again. What can I say? Classic, beautiful writing. Lots for you to think about, my darlings. And on that note, now I'm going to go and cook dinner. So I will bid you farewell. Let's hope we're all still here in 7 hours' time. Enjoy. Get that glass of wine, get the chocolate, and grab the book. Settle down for an epic evening and enjoy yourselves, because it might be the last one you have. Take care. Bye bye.